Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Executive Producer by Minty Beans Game Lab.
Executive Producer is a game from designer John Bratt, who, full disclosure, I'm a good friend with John, and I got to be someone who play tested this in its earliest stages, so I want to throw that out there at the top of this video. But it is a game in which you are just that, the executive producer of a movie studio, and you are trying to come out with the biggest and bestest blockbusters of the summer. So this is a game in which you are making movies and you are trying to get the most money by the end of the game. You're going to be hiring directors and actors and writing scripts, and making movies. Let me show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and we'll share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have executive producer on the table, the game of summer blockbusters. Let me show you how to play this game. Now, I do want to point out everything you see is prototype. The final artwork components and rules will be different once it's released from the Kickstarter, so do make sure to check out the campaign page to be notified of how everything is going to change. There will be artwork on the cards that you see out here. I know that to be one of the things that will change. So with this game, you are playing as a movie production company such as Bear Studios, Excelsior Film Company, Pearson Jacobs Productions, Megamax Pictures, and Dream Kingdom Entertainment. Now, I'm sure you can kind of pick up on how some of these are representative of other movie productions out there, but we won't get into that. Now, you do have some variable setups, different changes here with the different player boards. You are going to have starting directors that are specific to each production company, such as Brandon Fish and Taylor Robinson. Now, Dream Kingdom Entertainment, they're going to be specializing in children animated movies. So obviously you get Brandon Fish here, who he has a genre bonus for children animated movies. He's going to do you real well with those types of movies. So you start the game with these two directors. Now you do also have some special abilities that are specific to your particular production company. Some of them will be the same for each player board, no matter who you play as, such as take an extra action this turn, but sometimes they are going to be different, such as spend an action to take an actor or script card with the animated bonus from the talent pool. So the animated bonus, you get to take one of those cards for free when it's out here spending this mogul token ability. Now, these are one-time use abilities, and you keep track of that with the tokens here. You would have tokens on top of each of these, and you would take it off and spend it once you have used that ability. Now, let's talk about what you have out here on the board, and mostly the game is going to be cards. So you have three major different types of cards that you will be focusing on for the most part throughout the course of the game. You have your scripts, directors, and actors, and each of those are vital in making the movies that you will be making throughout the course of the game. You have your script cards. Now, your scripts are going to have a name, Lions on a Submarine, and it's going to be a type of movie. So this movie means, or this icon means it is an action movie. And you've got a little tagline here. I've had it with these lions on this beep submarine. You do not read this tagline until you're ready to release the movie, and when you do release it, you want to say it with your biggest, best trailer, big voice guy or gal talk as you say that line there. You also have some numbers up here. Now, the number in the star, that is going to tell you the acclaim attached to this particular script. Lions on a Submarine, a lot of the critics do not look at this too favorably. They're going to write this movie off. That's why it's a 0. But the average Joe Blow who goes to the movies and pays their hard-earned money to go see this, they're going to want to watch Lions on the big screen, Lions on a Submarine on the big screen. And so they're going to earn you some money. That you've got a 2 over here on the dollars. This number right here is going to tell you how many actors you need attached to this before you can release it. Now, this is a minimum requirement. You can have more than the number listed here, but you have to have at least that before you can release this movie. So those are your scripts. Now, you have directors in the movie, and the directors are going to have similar icons on them. The acclaim attached to them, that's going to tell you that this director is pretty well acclaimed, and she's going to make you $1 at the box office, she is a perfectionist. Now, a lot of the cards may have some headline tags attached to them, such as perfectionist, which means the perfectionist director will not be able to work with difficult actors. Chrissy Bright here, she is a difficult actress. She is not going to work with Valentina Torres. It just won't happen. Whereas Tessa Ring, she is a professional. She can work with anybody, and she cannot be negatively impacted by any of these Hollywood news cards. We'll come back to that when we talk about how a turn works. You also have writers in the game. Now, writers are really cool, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But again, you've got your acclaim and your dollars, your box office ratings with your directors. Your directors are going to have genres attached to them as well. Bart Mason, he's really good with horror and sci-fi movies. So if you compare him up with a horror or sci-fi movie, that's going to be really good when it comes to releasing this movie. I'll explain that here in just a second. And the same idea with your actors. They're going to have similar stats at the top of their card, as well as some flavor text about who they are. And I'm sure you could probably figure out who some of these actors represent in real life as well, but we won't get into that. Now, how a turn works in this particular game. Every turn starts with somebody drawing a Hollywood news card. Now, these cards are going to be take-that cards that you can use on other players, or they can be cards you can use on yourself to beef up the movies that you are making. So, for an example, awful graphics. You can play this on somebody else's animated or sci-fi movie. It has to be one of those two types of movies, and it will remove an acclaim and a box office off of that particular movie's production. So that's a pretty good card to squash somebody else's movie. Product placement. Why are they putting those cans of Coca-Cola all over the place? It will make that person an extra $1, but it's going to remove some acclaim. And as I said, there are cards that you can play to beef up your own movies. Great ensemble. I can only play this card on my movie if I have at least 3 actors attached to it already, but it's going to earn me some extra stats. Unexpected greatness, an actor with 1 review star or fewer, somebody who the business has never really thought too highly, did absolutely fantastic in this movie, and they get you an extra acclaim. So that's how the Hollywood news cards work. Again, you draw one of these at the beginning of every one of your turns. Now, you have 2 actions out of the 4 possible choices that you can take on your turn, and they're listed up here at the top of the board, but in case you can't see that because it's out of frame or it's just too small, here are the actions. The first one that you could do is purchase a script, and you are going to pay the costs listed underneath the script. So maybe I want Lions on a Submarine, and I pay my $1 here. Again, you have dollars in the game. I'm not going to show you these resources too much because, again, they're all going to change, but you do have money in the game, and you spend money to purchase scripts. And when you purchase anything in the game, everything scoots down, and you fill in the gap with a new card. So that's one action that you could do. You could purchase a director. Now, maybe I purchased Jeffrey Vega here before I had purchased Lions on a Submarine, because Jeffrey Vega is a writer. Whenever you purchase a writer, if there is a matching script with the genre bonus, so Jeffrey Vega works really well with action movies, you can, with the same action, purchase that matching script. So Lions on a Submarine does match. And for 1 action point, I could purchase Jeffrey Vega and Lions on a Submarine at the same time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which I would probably want to do. Now, anytime you do get a script card, you are going to keep that in one of these 3 production slots. And so I would keep that there, and I would attach any of the cards that I get throughout the course of the game that I think could work well with that movie. I would just put them on top of that script card, like so. And I would just set that off to the side. The third possible action you could do on your turn is hiring an actor. And it works the same way. I pay the cost down below and attach them to my movie. So Ted Hammond here, a former pro wrestler, the Hammer, has a natural charisma and is a gifted performer. Try to figure out who Ted Hammond represents in real life. Leave it in the comments down below if you can figure it out. And again, I attach it to my movie like this. And I still need another actor before I can release this, which is the 4th possible action you could do on your turn, releasing a movie. So let's just pretend that I had another actor attached to this, and now I have my script, I have a director, I have my minimum requirement of actors. I could go more actors if I wanted to have a huge ensemble with this particular movie, but I'm going to release this now. When you're ready to release a movie, it is one of your action points, and again, you have 2 actions that you can do on your turn. You are going to count the acclaimed stars and the box office dollars. So in this case, I have 5 acclaimed stars, and I have, 3, 6, 9 box office dollars. Now, if I have any genre bonuses, so I'm releasing an action movie, and Jeffrey Vega does well with action, as does Ted Hammond, I can get extra dice to add to each of these numbers. So I'm going to spend one of these action bonuses with my acclaim. So now I have 6 stars, and I'm going to use one over here on the box office dollars, and now I have 10 box office dollars. What these numbers mean, that's the number of dice that I get to roll. So I had 6 acclaimed stars, so I'm going to grab 6 of those. Now these dice are very similar to the dice that you would see in Betrayal at House on the Hill. If you're familiar with that game, they're going to have blanks on 2 sides, 1s on 2 sides, and 2s on 2 sides. I take my dice and I roll them and I count my pips. Wow, that's a really good roll because I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 acclaim. And acclaim is going to give me stars. Now, this is the other resource in the game. You had money and you have acclaim stars. And so I've got 9 stars. I'm going to keep that on my movie, Lions on a Submarine, and we'll come back to why I need to keep this on this movie the entire game in just a minute. Now I would do my box office roll, which if you'll recall, that was a 10, so I need 4 more dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I roll for my box office. Now, this is how much money the movie made at the movie theater. Wow, look at that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get $12. And dollars are obviously important because I got to pay for my future movies. And that's what you're doing on your turn. You are hiring actors, directors, purchasing scripts, releasing movies, and this will continue around and around and around. Once the 3rd movie has been released in the game, you will begin the award season. Now, this is going to keep track of how long the game is going to last, and you can put more awards into this deck if you want to have a longer game. You have plenty to choose from here. These are the cards set off to the side. You always have to have these 3 awards at the bottom of your deck: Best Director, Best Actor, Best Picture. You will always have those 3 with some others that will be face down on top of it. Again, once the 3rd movie has been released, you flip it over. Best Fight. This is going to be 1 point, worth 1 point, and only action movies can win Best Fight. So you look around the board, any player who has already released an action movie can run for Best Fight. So my Lions on a Submarine, it is an action movie, so I can put Lions on a Submarine up for Best Fight and try to win that award. How this works, I take my stars, my acclaimed stars, I hold them in my hand under the table. I decide how many I want to bid for Best Fight. Maybe I want to bid 3. I put those 3 in one hand, keep my stars in the other hand, and I hold up my hand with the stars that I'm bidding. And all the other players that are in this as well will do the same thing. On the count of 3, we'll reveal how many stars we've bid. Whoever bid the most earns the award and turns in the stars that they bid. All other players get to keep their stars, putting them back on their movie, because maybe Lions on a Submarine didn't win Best Fight, but it could win a future award later on in the game. After the 3rd movie and the first award has been released, a new award will be revealed after every movie that is produced from that point forward, so the game really speeds up after the first movie has been released. So, for instance, People's Favorite Award, 1 point for the movie with a total box office rating of 10 or greater, not including Hollywood News Cards. Well, I could put Lions on a Submarine up for that because I had a box office rating of 10, so that's more than 8. So maybe I can win this award. And you will continue through this till you get to these bottom cards. That will be the end game. And you will award these 3: Best Director, Best Actor, Best Picture. You can see how those are worth lots of points. Then you will also reveal the
Common objective cards that players can win. The player who earns the most money or has the most money at the end of the game, they are going to win the Rich Award for 3 points. And the player with the most stars remaining at the end of the game, they are going to win the Acclaimed Award for 2 points. You do have your own personal objectives dealt to you at the beginning of the game. You get some dealt to you and you pick the ones you want to keep, keeping 2, returning the rest, and you hopefully try to accomplish them throughout the course of the game for the points that are attached to them. And that's the gist. You get points for money as well, 1 point for every $10. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to be the winner. And that is how you play Executive Producer. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one.
And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Executive Producer from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first impressions, what'd you think about this particular game?
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of choices, I feel like, at least when first looking at it, trying to figure out what your first step's going to be, trying to figure out and not really knowing how many movies are necessarily going to be produced by you.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to play it through once to get an idea of what the expectations are.
I think this is a game that you definitely want to play a handful of times to get a good feel for how it works. And not so much in the sense that it's a complicated game, because I don't think it's a complicated game, but it is one that you get more experienced at the more you play it, and you understand, okay, I'm going to make about 4, maybe 5 movies over the course of this game. And the reason why that's important is because of that betting aspect with your stars on the different awards that come up over the course of the game, which is really where you're getting the meat of your points. And you really need to do that well. That betting portion of the game is so vitally important. And it's a fun part of the game. But if you go into it thinking, well, I'm going to make 8 movies and I'm going to have all these stars, you're not. You're not going to have all of that. And so you really want to hammer in the 3 to 5 movies that you're probably going to make in this game and make sure they're good movies and that you get a lot of stars to work with on those movies. So for me, this was a super thematic game. I think that's the number one thing about this game is just how thematic it is. You are doing everything related to being an executive producer, from hiring a director, getting the script for the movie, and sometimes the director is a writer, and so they come with their own script. And if you're the studio that really does well at the kids animated movies, then you want to make sure you're getting those actors and scripts that work for that particular genre, the theme of film. There's just so many things about it that are very thematic. I found that to be very enjoyable. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you really have to pay attention to the fine print, I guess, on the cards to make sure. I think there was at least once where I was playing with the what were the titles? Professional? Or it wasn't.
Well, there's professionals, and then there's perfectionists.
Yeah, it was a perfectionist and a difficult actor, and those can't go together. And so just making sure that you're not just, oh, that's an actor, I'll put that with my movie. You have to really think it through. You do have to pay attention to some of the things that are on the cards. I feel like that adds to the game because it adds again to the theme of the game. You definitely see that in Hollywood, where you've got some people who are just straight-laced that will only work in a certain way. And then you got some people that are 180 degrees the other direction, where they are wild and crazy, and they're very difficult to work with because of that. I like the Hollywood news cards because it also adds into that the scandalous side of Hollywood, even though it is a little bit of take that, but it's also, it can help you build up your own movies. So it's not just take that. For me, I found that to be very enjoyable. Plus, everybody's getting those cards every turn. So everybody's got an equal opportunity to be able to play those cards. So it does have some dice rolling in it. So there's a little bit of luck in that. But I would say it's pretty minimal because it's very much about getting the right cards, drafting the right cards, using your resources wisely to maximize the luck, mitigating that luck and getting the best opportunity for yourself. And then you've got that betting aspect there thrown in too. So a good mix of mechanics. I enjoyed this particular one. I've seen this game come a long way.
I will admit I'm biased because I did get to play it kind of in its infancy stage, and seeing it come this far, it's really exciting because it has been very well developed. John's put a ton of work into this game, and seeing how far it's come, I'm really proud of it for him. So I enjoy it a lot. What was your overall opinion of it?
I thought it was a really fun game to play.
Yeah. It's fun even when you lose, because we played this over Christmas with some of our friends and we got utterly destroyed by somebody who doesn't play a whole lot of board games. She just dominated us. So. But there you have it. That is our thoughts on Executive Producer. It is from Minty Beans Game Lab, and it is on Kickstarter. So make sure to check out that link down below in the description of this video now that you've watched it.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.